You just looking into the camera. All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Gary Kreth.
I'm Chris Scott. We're here with a Paperless agent, and we're going to be starting in 3 minutes or so. But we wanted to get things going, turn on the camera, turn on the mic, and do a microphone check. And just check in with you, see how you guys are doing. We're really excited to share our topic today. So there's nothing more fun than flipping that camera and turning on the lights and getting ready to talk. But like I said, we're starting in about 2 minutes. But you know, if you're here and you can see us and hear us, you can tell us loud and clear through the chat section.
I'm more interested in knowing where you're calling in from.
I'm interested in knowing what you want to take away from today's session.
Oh my gosh, we're asking them so much.
We have really big expectations of you on this training. Okay, this is the way it's going to roll
Okay,
down.
so then do it this way. Head on over to the chat section and let us know what is the number one thing you want to take away from your time with us today. Because, Chris, yes, we have a structured flow for this presentation, but at the same time, we're fluid. We can adjust and
we read these comments. So if you tell us, here's what I want to learn today, or here's what I want to take away from today's session, we're going to do our best to incorporate that. We're reading it, so we'll also see if you're making fun of us. Please don't do that. Don't hurt our feelings, or we might start crying on this thing.
So we've got Chad from St. Petersburg. We've got Madeline from Pensacola, Florida. Natria from Goodyear, Arizona. I don't know where Goodyear is.
Goodyear? It's probably where every year is a good year.
Amen.
Either that or they make a lot of tires there.
It could be. Anyway, Linda from Santa Clarita, Krista from Jacksonville. Okay.
So, Gary,
Simone says, hope to get good tips. I think we can do that.
I think we can share a few good tips. In fact, everything that we're going to be sharing with you is stuff that we're using in our own real estate practice.
Yep.
We've been pretty busy in our own real estate practice. We've got listings on the market and bringing listings into the market and bringing them online. And we've just had a lot going on listing appointments, doing tours, getting video, you name it. We've been doing a lot of real estate stuff. So I think the reason I bring that up is today's conversation is organized around sharing sales tips, sales tricks, basically ways to get more clients, right? Ways that we can get more clients and to get more qualified clients under contract, I think is really what we all want to have more of.
Exactly. And, I think so many of us, and like we said, we're going to get started here in a minute, but I think so many of us come into real estate and we have the misinterpretation of what sales is.
Well, I don't really think of us as being salespeople, though. You wouldn't think of a lawyer. Would you go to a lawyer and say, hey, you need to sell more stuff? They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Or if you were to go to a friend of mine's a dentist, and every night we'll talk about his practice. And when I say, well, do you ever do stuff on learning more about sales and stuff? He'll be like, why would I do that?
But the thing is,
he wants more patience.
Every business owner, every entrepreneur, that's you, has to be a salesperson. So
yeah. No, the thing is, my friend that's a dentist, he's much more inclined to show up on an Invisalign webinar than he is on a sales one. But you know what we talk about the most? Him getting more clients.
Well, there you go. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, before we get started, I do want to let you know what's going to happen today. So if this is the first time that you're joining us, we will be training and giving you everything we got that we use in our own real estate practice for about the next 55 minutes. Then we'll share some tools and resources where you can kind of continue your learning. And then for the next 30 minutes, we're going to do Q&A. So here's what we need from you is we really need you to engage and participate in this webcast with us. This is a live webcast, and we see every time I'm looking over here, I'm seeing these chats. Zhu Ying just said good morning. So what we need you to do is participate and ask questions. So as we're going through this, we may be able to pause and ask and answer a few questions, but really the balance of our time is going to be in Q&A, and the more you ask, the more we'll be able to answer.
All right. So with that, just if you're just signing on, I'm Chris Scott. This is Gary Kreth. We're with a Paperless agent, but we're also with Kreth Partners Real Estate, which is where we help people buy and sell homes here in Austin, Texas. And we're going to be talking about sales techniques, sales tricks, sales tactics, ways to get more clients and get them under contract effectively and efficiently. In fact, I've outlined 5 different steps. Now, one of the things that I was just curious to learn, I wanted to share a poll with everybody if I could. And Gary's going to pop up this poll. If you guys could answer this, it's going to help us understand who we've got in the training room today so that we can really tailor it to who's in here. But how long have you been in the business? Have you been in, are you brand new? Has it been 1 to 3 years, 3 to 10 years, 10 plus years? And so share that with us using that no poll feature. I think when you end it, it'll share the results.
It will.
And actually, it'd be very cool to see who's in the room with us.
Yeah.
And with that, the reason why I wanted to share that too is that most people, here's something about sales stuff, sales skills, sales techniques, is most people, unfortunately, mistakenly believe that they believe anyone can learn to sell in 2 weeks. Now, I want to talk about that just for a second before we get into the today's training, because Gary, you've been selling real estate for 21 years, and I'm going to speculate that it took you longer than 2 weeks to become a master at selling. But here's the thing. Where did that stat come from? That came from a gentleman named Percy Whitting, who trained 72,000 sales professionals over 5 decades.
That's a lot of salespeople.
And what was the observation that Percy had made was, most people think that I can come in there for a seminar for an hour and then they're walking out as experts. And here's the thing. Yeah. Let's share with everybody how long they've been in here. And, when I look at the stats, it starts to make sense on who we've got in the room. And this is exciting. I share that stat with everybody because if most people believe that anyone can learn how to sell within 2 weeks, and if you're here just getting started, I want you to know that this is going to be a very effective way to get a base level of understanding. It's going to give you very powerful tactics that you can use that you likely haven't heard in other places. But Gary, how long did it take you to learn how to sell? To become a master at it?
I would have to say at least a decade.
Really?
Yeah. And that was training, that was education, that was mentoring. It was understanding the different types of sales tactics. It was about a decade, and so it takes some time to become what I would say is a true master at sales. But you can get really proficient at it. It's kind of like this hockey stick, and then you kind of just continue.
Right, then you continue.
And I continue to learn. I mean, we were just talking earlier. I'm actually learning right now from a sales master. I'm continuing to learn.
Well, I think what's very fascinating is when I watch you in action, you do stuff that I couldn't even imagine myself doing. And I know other people are like, how did you do that? Why did you say that? And it works though. Yeah. A perfect example is Gary will be talking to somebody and say, well, have you been thinking of moving? Like to me, it seems like it's out of the blue, but well, have you been thinking of moving? And the person said, well, actually I have.
Right? And it's like, bam. And Chris is like,
how did you do that?
What just happened?
But most people would say that, oh, I don't want to be a pushy salesperson, so I can't ask that question. Are you thinking of moving? You do it, and it works. So anyway, with that, let me just take a minute to introduce who we are, and then we're going to dive into today's training. So this gentleman right here, this is Gary Kreth. He's been selling real estate for 21 years, going on 22 years now. He still sells real estate, just on a listing appointment the other day for a $2 million listing. So he's active. He's in it. Gary, at the height of his career, of his real estate career, he was going on 6 listing appointments every single week. Get that, 6 listing appointments.
I had to take one day off.
So that is a lot of that body of knowledge is coming from your 21 years of experience and just that sheer volume of listing activity and working with buyers. Gary was also featured by Apple Computer. He's a residential and commercial real estate investor and is even a real estate tech investor and advisor. So I'm excited to learn more about sales from you today, Gary, because I know you guys get your seatbelts on, get ready to start taking notes because we're going to be taking off here.
Yeah, and this guy right here, this is my partner here at the Paperless Agent. He is a digital marketing expert. So all of the marketing tactics and lead generation that we're going to discuss today comes from him. In fact, Chris, you've been in the real estate marketing world for 19 years now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he started with Brian Buffini. He ran the consumer marketing division for Brian for 11 years. More recently, he moved to Austin and ran the sales and marketing divisions of an Inc. 500 winning company. And they won that 2 years in a row, which is an enormous feather in your cap. Now, Chris is managing pages, social media pages with over 160,000 members. And you're generating just over 6,000 new leads a month on social media. So that's who this guy is. So, get ready, take notes, take screenshots. But before we get started, I do want to take a look real quick.
Oh,
how long have you been in the biz?
Yeah, let's share the results from the poll.
I did. 42% are brand new.
Welcome
to the biz. 1 to 3 years, 24%. 3 to 10 years, 13%. And we got a lot of veterans here of 10 plus years. So welcome everybody. That's a really nice balance. What I would say is that if you're brand new, this is like, this education is critical to your success, because I learned recently that 87% of realtors end up leaving the business within the first 3 years. We do not want that to be you. So
I have a favor to ask of those of you who've been in the business for 10 plus years. All right. So if I could just ask you guys a favor, since you are the seasoned folks here, is when you learn something new that you haven't heard before, mention that, right? Like say, oh, that I haven't heard that before, because that's new, right? The other thing is, as you seasoned folks out there, there's a chat interface. You're going to be able to tell by some of the questions and the way some of the new folks are asking questions. Please support them. Help us support them by sharing your knowledge, sharing just that grizzled experience that you would have gotten for something.
We just got one.
Nice.
Juanita Cobb. I've been an active agent for 3 years, but left the industry for 10 years. Just came back in April. Welcome back, Juanita. The Paperless Agent has helped me very much. When I left 10 years ago, social media was not being used that much. When I re-entered the industry, I felt like I was in a time warp. The Paperless Agent has been invaluable in helping getting restarted.
Thanks, Juanita.
She said, love you guys.
We love you too. And thank you for sharing.
All right. So let's get rolling here.
All right. So I'm going to pull up my slide deck. I'm going to share my screen because I do have a presentation that's organized. It's going to help you get lots of bits of information. I encourage you to get familiar with your screen capture thing, so you could take pictures of your slides.
If you're using a Mac, it's Control-Shift-4.
Yeah. That way you won't have to take notes. You can just take pictures and then copy that into
Michael's been in real estate 38 years. Welcome.
Wow. Oh, Diane, 28 years.
Yep. And she said every week I learn something new with paperless webinars.
All right. Well, with that further, let's just hop on here because I've got a lot of stuff to share and I'm excited to share it. And I also want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask lots of questions.
Great.
So Gary, just do me a favor. When my screen is up and running, let me know.
Because it's up. You might want to hit hide there.
Okay. So one of the things I want to start today off, because I want to frame this concept of sales. If you're brand new to the industry, it's important to think of sales the right way. If you've been around for a while, I think it's often time to reset how we think about sales and selling. So ask yourself what types of questions or images come to mind when you think of sales. Just write it down. What do you think of when you think of sales? Tell us through the chat feature. What do you think of when you think of sales? Because I'm going to share with you what I think of when I think of sales. The first thing I think of is, well, probably it's not a bad one, but it's not a great one either.
It's not, what this does is this right here gives salespeople a bad name.
It is. This is the kind of stuff where it's just all about the dollar, all about the money. When I know that's not you, that's not us. We care about our clients.
Angela says it when she thinks of it, solving someone's problems.
Nice. So that's that's a good mindset to think about it, right? But here's the thing. Many of us think of real estate from a service mindset. Right. And so when we think of sales, it's like this thing that we don't want to do. Remember, I was talking earlier about my dentist friend who doesn't like to think of doing sales and what his practice of sales, but it's a good month or bad month based on the sales for him, right? So that's one. Here's another one. This is a classic for in real estate, right? Put that coffee down.
Coffee's for closers.
Always be closing.
Yeah,
right?
ABC. And with that, you look at that as like, man, that guy's a real estate trainer. Ooh.
Are you guys familiar with this movie, Glengarry Glen Ross? I mean, so if we have some younger folks on there, they might be like, what's that? I know that. Isn't that Alec Baldwin?
Chuck just nailed it. Sales is the act of helping someone buy something that they need and want. So absolutely.
Yep. So, all right, let's break this down. I want to put a division.
Draw a line in the sand?
I want to put a division point because we've got some great mindsets about sales. But here's the unfortunate thing. Is even though we might have the appropriate mindset about sales, we may not be doing the right activities.
Yes.
Now, these activities, I like to segregate, divide. I'm going to say that there's order-taking activities, and then there's professional activities, right?
For sure.
And I think when you see the list, that you'll be able to check off how, you know, which side of the list do you have, are you doing more of these activities, right? So order taker, I mean, the best way to think of an order taker is the person who's waiting.
Like the person at the register in the drive-through.
Right? You know, they're waiting for the phone to ring. They're waiting for somebody to interact with them on social media. You know, they're waiting for somebody to come in from their website. They're waiting at the coffee shop for someone to bump in or notice that they have a real estate sticker on their laptop. Right? I noticed that one this morning. So they're just waiting for something to happen, right? They're always waiting, and they're waiting patiently. By the way, in the old days, like you could wait, you could do floor time and wait, and somebody would walk in the office, like, or you could wait and someone would call you because they want to know, like, hey, is this house on the market?
That's in the old days, because at the time that our value proposition was much different than it is today.
So I look at the order taker, you know, they're waiting to be asked, how's the market, instead of preparing and telling people what's on the market. The order taker has a tendency to wing it, right? Like, how many of you guys, and I know you did this recently. I actually know you did this recently because
what did I do?
You confessed to me. You said you went on one of the listing appointments. This was several months ago now, but you went on a listing appointment and you kind of winged it. You didn't use your own templates, your own systems. How many of you guys are guilty of winging it?
We do it. And that's when we lose the business. That's when we, like, they hire somebody else. So we can't do that.
So ultimately, this order taker versus a professional, and we're going to spend a lot of time going through these distinctions of a professional so that you guys can know what are the activities that I should do, what do I need to know, what should I be doing, so I can be more of that professional instead of that order taker, just sitting and waiting. Okay. So with that, let's dive into the first distinction. I mentioned that the order taker waits to be asked how the market's doing.
Yeah, and the pro has extensive market knowledge. And so this, well, let me just share with you from one of my mentors, this is how I learned to have extensive market knowledge, is I would go on Broker Opens, you know, property tour with her, and she would not look at the list of the properties. We'd walk into the house and I'd say, okay, D, what's this house worth? And she nailed it every time. And you know why? She had extensive market knowledge, so much so that she could just do this business with her eyes closed.
So like in this case, what you're talking about, market knowledge is more than just remembering stats out of the MLS, right? So she's walking into a house, she's making determinations and making adjustments on the price, preparation, and the competition in the area, and being able to say, this is what this home's going to sell for.
Absolutely.
Right? An interesting stat that I came across was that 75% of our clients know more about our products than we do. Right?
Yes, but this also makes sense because we talked about this recently. I bought a new car recently. You did too. When you went in to buy the car, did you know more about that truck than the salesperson?
Here's the thing. I went in, I knew the truck, the exact model, because there was only one that was the exact model that I was looking for.
Right.
The color, the one that was the exact model and the exact color that I was looking for, there was only one car on the lot. And the guy was like, so what are you looking for? I was like, well, you guys have this one silver truck, it's the 4x4, so on and so forth. And he was like, well, we only have one of those. Yeah, I know. I that's the one I want you to pull up.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that they only had one until he was going in there and was like, oh, a silver truck, you know. Anyway, the question is, what should you know as a real estate professional?
Man, we're not going to go through every single one of these. Let's just highlight a few, because these are the things, especially if you're new, but even if you're seasoned and you don't know this, it's like getting caught
with your pants down.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. So what you need to have market knowledge in the market that you service. Some of the big ones is sold to list price ratio. Like, that's a really good one to know. Another one is what's going on with development planning, knowing what's coming down the road in the future. For example, Amazon right now is considering moving headquarters to Austin, and then also they're looking at, oh, maybe we'll move it out to Hutto. How would that shift real estate?
I know. Hutto, is that how you say that? I always wonder how you say that. I always thought it was Hutto. Hutto would definitely see some pretty dramatic changes in the area, and particularly some dramatic changes in price in the area if that actually goes through. I mean, all of Austin would experience that. Now, Gary, one of the things, I'm going to just sort of make a speculation here based on my own observation, is that a lot of us think that if we have to memorize things, and to go to the MLS and just sort of memorize stuff, or go to the news sources and memorize stuff. But you have a very different way of developing your market knowledge. In fact, I want you to share it with everybody. I synthesized it into 7 steps, but your way of doing it is a lot more tactile. I mean, like you're out on the street looking at homes, you're getting inside of homes. That is a different type of knowledge than just saying, oh, this is what it says in the MLS.
Well, and this is where my wife has learned to understand that this is just what we do on Sundays. Is we'll be driving around and I'm like, ooh, open house. You know? And she's like, come on, really? How many houses?
We can't go 3 blocks without you stopping in this neighborhood.
And so what I do is, number one, some advice here is make sure that you limit your scope to specific markets. So, and when I say market, it could be a price range, it could be a geographic region, it could be an architectural style, it could be downtown high rises.
It's not feasible to know all inventory at all times.
It's impossible.
It's too big of an area.
Unless you live in a tiny, tiny town. So that's number one, is find out who is the customer that you want to serve. And what you're looking at is several things: geographic region, price point, you know, and so really take a look at that.
Could even be like certain types of inventory. Some people might specialize, like out here in Austin, you've got people who specialize in downtown condos.
There's this one guy who only does condos.
Then you got the ranches and the waterfront stuff out here as well. So those are each
could be just luxury, could be first-time home buyers, huge opportunity. So to really determine what your scope is going to be, or what your specific market. Next, research if there is a local property tour available, like a broker open, a regularly scheduled. Schedule it, and it is sacred. You go there every single time. Now that's also important because that ties in with number 7, which is building rapport with other agents who are knowledgeable and experienced in that area. So if you're going on broker opens, number 1, carpool, or if there's a bus, get on that bus, find out who is the most experienced agent and like sit next to him, ask him questions. So that's really important. Next, set up an MLS search to notify you of all market activity within that region. So that's really, really important, because who needs to know when something comes on the market first? You.
Well, I was just thinking about this, Gary. Why spend so much time developing our market knowledge as part of our sales skill? Why spend so much time doing this? I mean, what's the benefit to me to spend time developing my market knowledge?
Well, it comes down to one word.
What's that?
Trust.
How so?
Well, so if I have specific knowledge about your house, and specifically the region that your house is in, and competition, and what are the market stats, how much more are you going to trust me than somebody who's like, well, I don't know.
Oh.
So as a consumer, the name of the game in real estate is trust. The more we have a client trust us, the more likely they are to hire us.
So, okay, so this makes sense then. Because before we go out lead generating, before we go out making calls and setting appointments, is that we need to be prepared so that when we actually have an opportunity to interact with somebody, we show up as the expert. Bless you.
Yes, thank you.
So you're showing up differently. So this is like, I can also see if you have this information where your confidence, you're going to look and sound like somebody different because of the confidence level that you're going to be able to have.
Well, so here, great example. If I'm out networking or at a happy hour, cocktail party, or at a charity, a fundraiser, and people come up to me because they know I'm in real estate, what is the first question they ask me?
How's the market?
How's the market? You know what I hear most realtors say? Man, it's great.
It's awesome.
But the thing is that does that convey my expertise and competence?
No, that's good for enthusiasm, but enthusiasm without knowledge doesn't necessarily lead to the right outcome.
You know what you can say is, if you need to read your board's market stats that come out every month and memorize 1 or 2 of those stats. And so when they say that, you communicate that. It's like, oh, well, thanks for asking. Right now, the city of Austin is blah. This is what's happening with the city of Austin. By the way, specifically, where do you live? And then they share with you, oh, well, I live downtown, or I live in Westlake or Clarksville. Oh, you know what? I can actually get you specific market statistics to that neighborhood and your house. What's the best email address for me to send that to?
I mean, if you're having a conversation about how the market is, why wouldn't you say, well, have you thought of moving?
Exactly.
Right? Like, why not just bring it up? Oh, you're asking about the market. Have you thought of making a move?
Yep.
Right? I can, if they say yes, like, or, I don't know, we thought about it. I mean, now all of a sudden they've opened the door to make offers of help, which we're going to get more into that. Let's finish up these last couple of points on this knowledge market plan, because I want to jump into how to create those exact conversations that I'm talking about. How do we take our market knowledge and then start interacting?
Sure. So next, preview current inventory of homes on the market. That's what I love doing that. Next, research development plans. You can go down to your city and you can go to the planning division and find out what developments are coming in. Next, attend homeowners association meetings if possible. So, if in a geographic region, if you attend the homeowners association meetings, you're going to find out what's going on in that neighborhood. And then they'll be like, who are you? Oh, well, I'm a realtor. I specialize in this neighborhood. You guys have a lot of great information. I'm just trying to absorb as much as I can. Then all of a sudden you start becoming the competent person that the board is looking for. By the way, then you can ask them, hey, do you guys have a newsletter, an e-newsletter that you send out every month? Because I'd love to provide data from the MLS and also my interpretation of what's going on in the market for you. Huge opportunity. And last, build rapport with agents. We already talked about that one.
All right. So that first step is that professional, as opposed to the order taker, has extensive market knowledge, so much so that it distinguishes them, differentiates them from other people, right? Our competition, essentially, that our clients might interact with or potential clients might interact with, so that when we have a conversation, we're going to show up differently. Now, the next step here is that the professional creates a context for conversation.
I love this term, context for conversation. How many of you, just raise your hand, say me in the chat section, how many of you neglect to pick up the phone and call the people in your database and see how they're doing or ask them up for business? How many of you neglect to do that from time to time? Or how many of you are not doing that every single day?
And we've made it happens to us. We actually recently had to send out
right there. Me.
We had to send out we had to send what we call a re-engagement letter, because we had let a few months go between communicating with our own database, and we had to say, hey, apology. It's our fault.
Let me ask, why do we not pick up the phone and call? Go over there and tell me, why do you not
Why don't
call?
we stay in touch?
Why do we not stay in touch? And here's the thing, is the number one reason we as realtors don't is because, well, I'm going to start high level. I'm going to break it down. We're afraid of being rejected. And what rejection on the phone sounds like is, why are you calling me? Or, no, I don't want your services. I don't want this. Fear of rejection, says Amy. Chad says, I don't want to bug them. D says, I just get busy doing other crap. That's hilarious.
I know.
So I love the honesty here. But here's the thing, is that we're fearful of being rejected. And the reason we're fearful of being rejected is we don't have anything that we think they want to hear.
Well, we just don't know what to talk about.
That's the point.
Right?
There you go. Shirley just said it. I don't know what to say.
So here's the thing. And this is probably, out of all of the things that we're going to talk about today, one of the biggest differences between that order taker and the professional is that the professional is proactively having conversations or creating a context for those conversations to happen in the first place. So what does that mean? So instead of sitting and waiting, like we were defining that order taker, is instead of waiting, the order taker wants to, or the professional wants to make sure that I'm giving myself an opportunity to talk about something that's purposeful, that provides value, and therefore creates the context for the conversation for me to be able to ask, have you thought of moving, or whatever the case may be. Now, let me show you an example. This, by the way, this looks like marketing. The way we do it is that creating a context for a conversation looks an awful lot like a marketing campaign.
Absolutely. So I believe that, several months ago, Chris sat me down and he said, Gary, if your next meal depended on a commission,
what would you do?
What would you do? And I'm
today?
Like, oh, simple, man. I would market my move up program. And he's like, how long have we worked together? I don't even know what this is. So that is exactly what creating a context for conversation about. Now, the move up program is very purposeful.
Yep. This is probably one of the quickest ways to start getting interaction with your database, with people in the area thinking of moving. So there's 3 parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share with everybody some of the marketing components so
Yep.
you guys can have real world examples of what to put together to send this out. But just talk us through the process here, because here's the thing. This campaign in particular really zeroes in on somebody who is probably going to be moving in the near future. And that's the crux of this campaign, is talking to that right person.
Yeah. And by the way, don't tell me you don't have enough time to do this, because I'm actually, as soon as this broadcast is over, I'm getting on a plane, and this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yes.
So it's not something that we just talk about. Yeah.
I'm putting Gary to work.
Cracking the whip. So, which is good, because I think I'm going to be on a plane for like 12 hours. So number 1, you research through your database and find those people in your database who have lived in the same house for more than 3 years.
Okay.
And the reason is
why?
That they are more likely to move than anybody else.
How do I find this information about how long they've been in there if I don't have it in my own records? How do I find this out?
Well, you go to the MLS. So,
trusty old MLS.
Yeah, right now, Chris and I have just about 2,000 people in our database, and roughly half of them, I don't have the data on their home anniversary. So I'm going to be busy. So what you do,
MLS, pulling it up.
Get a database, and gosh.
Who's in your database?
Everybody I know. Everybody.
Everybody, like basically, if you've had some interaction and you got their information, bang.
Bam. I mean, I have a person who lives in Nairobi in my database.
You never know when they're going to have a place to buy out here.
So here's the thing, is that building your database is getting information of everybody that you know, putting that information in, researching the MLS, and finding out when they bought their house.
Okay.
Anybody who has bought their house more than 3 years ago, you go in and you produce a quick CMA, not a full-blown CMA, just a quick one. Produce a quick CMA showing an estimate of their home's value.
Gotcha.
And then you email it to them. Then, as soon as you email it, what you do is you either pick up the phone, you text message them, you Facebook message them, however it is that you typically communicate with that individual, you contact them and say, hey, I just did this for you because I noticed that your home anniversary was however many years ago. Congratulations. By the way, did you know that you may have this much equity built up in your house? In fact, we have a full email.
Yeah, let me show you the email. Now, here's the thing. People don't recognize how valuable the action of producing that CMA is, because it's not something that they can do on their own. So just by sending this information, you're providing an extremely high level of value. Now, here's the God honest truth, is that it takes some time and energy.
This is where you got to get some elbow grease. But here's the thing, is that this will be the highest return on your investment. In fact, let me share this with you. I had an individual that I was working with one-on-one. And she said, gosh, my business is kind of stalled out. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to make sure that you send out e-newsletters every single month. You're going to engage with them on this Move Up program. And I want to hear the results. You know what happened? Within 2 weeks, she had 10 clients that she did not know.
Too much.
She's like, I'm overwhelmed. Can we slow it down? And I'm like, heck no. Now we're kicking it into high gear here. So this works really, really well. Chris, you want to read this for everybody?
Yeah, so this is the email that you attach the CMA to. Now, here's the other thing. A little variation is, instead of doing it via email, is print this stuff out and hand deliver it, all right? That's, even if you're a brand new agency, you have the time, right? I think 40% of us are new to the industry, so you've got the time. This is what we call personalized marketing. The more personalized a piece is, the more effective it's going to be. And when you add, like, if you've got the time, print this out, hand deliver it, right? And that's going to personalize the entire experience. But let me read off the cover letter for that CMA. Hi, Gary. In reviewing my records, it looks like you've been in your home for over 4 years. Isn't it amazing how time flies? Out of curiosity, I took the liberty of running a market analysis on your home to see its current estimated value. You can see the analysis attached to this message. Did you know your home's value has increased by approximately 20% in the last 4 years? That's an $80,000 increase. Historically, people move every several years as we go through life's changes. If you're thinking of moving in the next 18 months, I wanted you to know about my Move Up Buyer program. When you sell your home with me and buy another in the next 90 days, I'll give you an X dollar credit, so you decide what that credit's going to look like. towards your closing costs so you can really move up on your next move. Are you curious about what's for sale? If you'd like access to my customized home search tools, send me a quick message. P.S. If you have any friends or family members who could benefit from my Move Up Buyer program, please tell them about it. Because of you, I'd be happy to make this program available to them. And so what this is doing, Gary, is it's communicating, it's giving them not only high value with that CMA you produced, it's giving them a reason to refer you to somebody that they know.
So do you see this? And Susan, real quick, I will address your question about how you credit it. But what this does is it not only re-engages the database that you have, is it offers a tool of referral. I mean, how many times do we just need to offer people something to be able to offer to other people as a tool of referral?
We're going to talk about a few of these tools of referral, because it's so important that we equip our clients to refer us. Because here's the thing, they have, let's say, a past client of yours or just somebody in your database. Let's say you haven't worked with them, but they know you. That person, let's say they have a conversation with somebody that they know and where they're talking about moving. Now, they might think of you, but do they have a reason to refer you unless the person says, hey, do you have a referral for somebody to help buy or sell a home? Or if they know that there's a really strong benefit, if they know there's a strong benefit, like, oh my gosh, you're going to be able to take advantage of Gary's Move Up Buyer program. I got to tell my friend this because I want them to take advantage
Exactly.
of it. That's a tool of referral.
Yep.
Okay. So then it's all about the follow-up. You get this information.
It is about the follow-up, but we're not done with this program yet because there's a marketing piece to it.
Yes, there's a marketing piece as well. So get this. What you want to do is upload the database of the people who are in your database or in that farm area who you're making this offer to. So by the way, you're going to initially make this to your database, but you can also carve out like a small little market niche.
Absolutely.
Do the research on those folks and do a mailer program to these individuals making the same offer of help.
Yeah, because if you're marketing in a geographic region or a price point region, you can find out who those owners are, add them to your database, do a quick CMA for them, and find out, well, you need to find out how long they've been in there, and mail them the letter.
And then the reason for doing the advertising around it. So by the way, like one of the cool things about Facebook is you can use their advertising platform to upload a database and then place ads in front of just those people.
Yeah.
The benefit of doing that is this program then becomes omnipresent to the people who are receiving it. What do I mean by that? It means that everywhere they turn, everywhere they look, I got that CMA. Gary called me. He sent me a text message. I see it on Facebook. It must be a sign, you know? So then when they're ready to take action, if they're going to take action, you're the person that they take action.
You got it.
I wanted to share another context for a conversation, by the way, guys. This is what I'm calling our monthly value program.
Okay.
This is where every month, monthly, nice little acronym there, MVP. So every month you send out some useful information to your clients. And here's what it looks like. Here's one that we created not too long ago.
This is what would commonly be called like an e-newsletter, a monthly newsletter.
Yeah. It's just useful information that they or somebody they know could benefit from.
Yeah.
In this case, it's the Home Buyer's Guide to Getting Mortgage Ready. So it's got a bunch of information for someone who's thinking of making a move about getting, all their finances and stuff in order.
But, if you're freaking out saying, where do I get this information? We'll
talk about how you get tools like that
yeah.
later on. So what you do is you send out every month. Now you've got a reason to, even if you don't contact them every month, maybe every other quarter.
Context for conversation.
All it does is it creates a context for conversation. So what you can do is just say, hey, Gary, I just sent this information out. It's got X, it's talking about mortgage and so on and so forth. And by the way, if you know of anybody who's thinking of buying or selling a home or moving in the near future, this would be really useful. Please forward this to them. And by the way, if they need a referral to a lender or a mortgage broker, I've got great folks that I trust that I could recommend.
Yep.
So what you're doing is you've got something to talk about. Didn't know what to say, fear of rejection. You're showing up with value. You've got something to talk about, and you're making relevant offers to help. Because even if it's not like, hey, you, my client, or the person that I know, maybe they don't need a mortgage broker, but hey, if you know somebody who does,
you got it,
and you want somebody that they can trust, you can access my professional network. So again, just creating that context for conversation is implementing campaigns like this on a regular basis, whether it's the Move Up, whether it's the MVP. Constantly doing this creates the context for a conversation so that we can start the sales dialogue.
Yes. So it's the context for conversation, so I can pick up the phone and actually have something valuable to talk about with my prospects. So this is the power behind everything that we're talking about. And by the way, I love this next one, using the pre-approach, because
Yes.
we didn't actually describe what the pre-approach is.
I didn't, but the opposite of a pre-approach is winging it. Remember, the order taker wings it. So maybe you show up on a listing appointment, you got your notepad, you're ready to take notes, and you're like, all right, what happens next? What are we doing here? Right? Who's on first base? So
who's on first?
So a pre-approach. Now, Gary, your version of a pre-approach, you call the initial consultation.
That's correct. Right? So I call this my initial phone consultation. This is always done on the phone. By the way, as you're sitting here, go to the chat section and let me know how long, ideally, do you spend on your initial consultation? You know, just let me know. Is it as short as possible? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 5 hours? You know, go to the chat section and let us know. I'm just really curious. But as you do that, what I can tell you is during my initial consultation, I have a template that I follow to make sure that I ask all the right questions.
Okay.
In a very specific sequential order.
Gotcha. Why is that important?
Well, because what's the name of the game in real estate?
Trust.
Trust. So I have to have you trust me. And the way I build trust is I follow this sales approach where I gather generic, really harmless information like, what's your address? What's the best way to contact you? What are the best times to reach you? Do you mind if I ask, how did you hear about me? So this is all just very generic stuff, and they're freely sharing that. If I go straight in and say, who's the decision maker in selling your house? You'd be like, whoa, dude, back up a step.
That's too aggressive, right? And I probably, what you're doing is giving me reasons to be concerned about talking with you, right?
Yep, you got it. So
you're easing into.
You got to ease into it, and then you start asking really important questions. And this is my first important question. Is, so Chris, you know, I'd like to spend 30, 45 minutes on the phone with you, really understanding who you and your family are, your needs, your wants, your fears, your desires, the outcome, etc. So if you don't mind, take a couple of minutes and just share with me if by the end of this call, you hang up and you're like, wow, we covered everything I wanted to talk about. What is that? This is what I call current interest. What are they currently interested in talking about? And then document it. Document all of this in your Evernote note or whatever template it is, whatever it is, document it in the words that they're using.
So I wanted to point out something, Gary, is through this process, you're asking these questions and you're getting to learn about what they're really interested in, what they're concerned about, what their real goals and objectives are. And you're learning about all of the things that are connected to that.
Yes.
On this phone call before you go on appointment.
Yes.
So anybody else that they are thinking of working with would show up on the appointment and spend that time doing this work. Whereas instead, you're going to show up with answers, not doing the discovery phase.
Absolutely. I've already done discovery. And then there's additional things that we do after this, but it's really critical to spend the time that it takes and always ask the following magic phrase. By the way, you can do this on the phone. You can do this in person. This is a great skill to have because this actually shows your curiosity. Is, gosh, Chris, can you tell me more about that?
Now, why do we want to dig in with this?
Well, because people's initial response is surface level. And surface level doesn't cut it.
So give me an example. Let's say I come to you and I say, I want to buy a house. And what's a question that you might ask me during the discovery phase?
I'd ask like, well, Chris, what is the timeline you'd like to buy a house?
Oh, we got to get this done by August.
Okay, I could stop there.
Okay.
And at that point,
most people would say,
and most people are like, great, August. But if you stop there, you don't understand who they are and the reason that that's important. It's like, okay, Chris, apparently, like you nailed that timeline and it's specific. It seems really important to you. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh, well, yeah, because my parents, they are going to be visiting and we're having a big family reunion and we need to get it done in the new house. because we need more space. We're going to have like 20 people at the house. They're going to be staying with it. Like, or it might be kids are starting school. I need to be in the new school district.
And then I'd say, okay, well, can you tell me why the new school district is so important? So it's not just asking it once, it's dig, 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 dig.
So what you're using this, tell me more about that. And it's a very harmless way to really get into the understanding of what's driving their concerns, driving the things that they're interested in, so that you can become a true partner in accomplishing it, but you can't do it unless you know it.
Nope. And this is all psychology. This is really critical stuff.
And you're doing this during discovery on the phone before you show up on appointment, so that when you show up on appointment, you are performing at a different level than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Can,
yes.
Because of the knowledge that you have.
Absolutely. And I also am so prepared to present to what their concerns are. And also, the very first phase of my listing appointment is I sit down with them, next to them, and I show them the notes that I took.
You jumping ahead, Gary.
No, I'm
jumping ahead.
Sorry.
So the next distinction of that professional is they guide through a selling process. Your listing appointment and presentation is a selling process.
That's correct.
It's a process. It's not winging it.
It is not winging it. It's a process. And I know when I wing it, I lose business.
So in order to share with you guys an example of a very effective selling process, I'm going to share with everybody slides from your listing presentation.
Okay.
So we don't have enough time to talk through the whole thing, because your listing presentation usually takes about 90 minutes.
Right.
So we don't have 90 minutes left. We're going to have to rapid fire and just hit on a few of these things.
Perfect.
To be able to share with everybody, what does a selling process look like, and what kind of tools do I use as a selling process? So when we're looking at your listing presentation, one of the things that I think really well describes it is we have the slide in your listing presentation that describes the process that the client's going to go through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love to educate them through the process, but also what I do is I'm setting them up for what's going to happen. So I'm saying, this is my process. We went through discovery. Next, we're going to inspect your home together. Then we're going to review my marketing proposal that I created specifically for you. Then we're going to talk about the home valuation. And then at the end of that, assuming that we decide that we want to work together, we will review the marketing agreement, get it signed so I can start working for you.
So now, you told me before, Gary, that the reason you want to lay out expectations and then fulfill on those expectations is that it'll build trust. How does that build trust?
Well, so when people don't know what's going to happen during an appointment, they're in fear. And so it's like, they're just like, what's going on here? If you educate somebody about what's going to happen and then it actually happens, they're like, oh, I can trust when Gary says that this is going to happen and it happens. I can trust Gary.
Gotcha.
So you're building trust all the way through this.
Gotcha. All right. So that's a slide. Then one of the things that we get into is why work with us. I want to quickly fast forward through some of these slides, Gary, because I wanted to get to this one. This is a big part of your listing appointment, or at least the conversation that happens.
Yeah, I call this our us versus them.
Okay.
And so what we're doing here is we're actually looking at how we outperform the market in order to take care of our clients.
Gotcha.
And so, by the way, a little tip here is I recommend that you start every slide with a question. So here, I would say, Chris, do you like statistics?
They don't lie.
They don't lie. And you know what? The reason I love statistics, and specifically these statistics, is I am always gauging how well my firm is outperforming the general marketplace.
Gotcha.
So let's take a look at two of the most important statistics of how fast homes are selling and for how much.
Gotcha.
And then we talk about this. And I'd say, Chris, were you aware that in Austin right now, an average realtor is selling a house in 48 days? Man, that's not bad, right? However, when you hire us, on average, we're selling homes in 16 days. Now, that's a lot better, isn't it?
Wow.
In addition to that, when you sell your house with an average realtor in Austin, you're getting 98.25% of your ask price. Now, that's pretty good. And when you, on average, work with us, on average, we're getting our clients 101.7% of ask price. Now, that's a lot better, isn't it?
It's 3.45%.
It's 3.45%, Chris. That's correct. And let's assume that we sell your house for $350,000. On average, we're going to earn you $12,750 $75 more than the average realtor.
Now
that's a lot of money.
You just did a bunch of jujitsu right there, okay? You just did a bunch of jujitsu.
Oh, hold on, everybody. People are saying the webinar is stuck and is not playing. Hold on. Stand by. We'll be right. All right. Reconnected. Greg said reconnected.
Very good.
Yeah, oh, and everybody, if it is not, there you go. It's working. Okay, good.
All right. So you just did a bunch of jujitsu there.
Yes.
By taking the difference between how we outperform the typical agent when it comes to the list to sale price ratio.
Yep.
You know, you calculated what 3.45% is and what it means to them.
Yes. So what it means to them, with them, what's in it for me. So just sharing your stats and not sharing what it means to them doesn't do anything. Not only that, did you see what I did? I also planted the price of what their home is worth in their head.
Yeah. So maybe they thought it was $375, right? And you're saying it's worth, what was it, $350?
Right.
So you subtly planted the seed of, you know, and how did you know that I thought my home was worth $375?
Because I asked you
during
on
the
phone.
Initial consultation,
You
right?
got it.
So instead of you're showing up and you're being able to do this jujitsu, being able to communicate, it's 12,000 reasons why that's why you want to work with us. And by the way, this is what the actual value of your home is. Just subtly, we haven't communicated that just yet, right? But this is all part of that process, so that instead of for the first time they're hearing what the price of their home is when you talk about the pricing of the home, which we'll get into in just a little bit. You're actually you're planting that seed, and you're giving them a financial benefit of, wow, that's not 3.45%. That's 12 grand.
That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of reasons to hire me. But then we also have to explain, how do we do it?
Right. So that's when in our listing presentation, listing appointment, you're going to share with them what we do differently to market the home. Another thing that you do is you educate them on the pricing strategy, so that they don't think that they should be pricing it really high or even just pricing it above the market. You educate them, right?
We educate them as to why it's important to prepare the house and price it accordingly to get more money.
Gotcha. We share with them the different marketing that we're going to do. And we actually use, Gary, you use the marketing that we do as a point of differentiation on why they should work with us.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the assumption that a lot of sellers have is that we're just going to put it in the yard, put in this MLS, and
pray that the house
sells, right?
But what we have to do is we have to actually communicate with them thoroughly everything that we're going to do, not just that's common, but also that's different, in order to market their home and get them top dollar. Because according to National Association of Realtors, the #1 thing that sellers want from us is to market their homes to buyers.
Gotcha.
And so we have to show them how we do that.
So we're including everything that we do, and you're having a conversation about, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I'm sharing with them, so that in their mind, because what happens, let me go back to this slide here. When you share with them that you're going to earn 3.45%, now that's a compelling promise. The question that's in the background of my mind is, well, how? What makes you better?
Well, in fact, somebody just said, how do you do that?
And that is what's going on in their mind is, well, how do you do it? Now, they might not say that, but they're probably thinking to themselves, I wonder what you do differently.
Exactly.
And so you've got to fill that in a little bit by saying, all right, this is the stuff that I do. Let me continue to educate you on. Let me continue to educate on what we do on the marketing side, so that you can satisfy that question in the background for them as, this is how I do it. And if your marketing is different than what other people do, and if it's more than just putting in the MLS and then hoping that it sells, and you actually have a full-on marketing program that you can communicate, now it becomes the justification.
You just nailed it. If you have a marketing plan that you can communicate.
Right. So it's just a matter of communicating what you're going to do, so that it rationalizes for them that difference that you're going to, and how you're going to outperform the market. So very, very important. And like I said, you can't say this first, right? You can't say, this is what I'm going to do to market your home, unless you actually communicate first, here's how we outperform the market. Does that make sense in terms of a guided sales process?
Absolutely.
You have to say certain things at certain times in order for it to work.
Yes. You have to guide them through the process. You can't just jump around. It is very, very strategic. And
Okay.
This is a process I've studied for 21 years.
All right. So moving along, by the way, later on, I'm going to tell you how you can get a copy of Gary's listing presentation. It's actually a template, but I don't want to slow down because we still have to talk about being an expert with tools. And one of my favorite tools is one, it's called the Welcome Kit, Client Welcome Kit. But it's a very effective tool to turn more leads and prospects into clients, but also to give your clients something to refer you with.
Remember, tools of referral. So two things that we're talking about here is, number one, so many of us treat prospective clients like prospects.
Yeah, it's the same person. By the way, the person who's a lead right now and the person who's closing is the same person.
At a different time.
Different time, right?
Yeah. And so why don't we just assume that they're already clients, and as soon as we have contact with them, send them a client welcome kit?
Yep. And so what is a client welcome kit? This is a tool on the surface level. Here's what it does. It just educates somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Client, prospect, or somebody you don't know. It educates a person on, here's the services that I provide. Here's the value and what's in it for you. And here's how you get a hold of me, right? Yep. Now, you do this right, it does it in the form of education, and the person's going to receive and say, this is helpful. But most importantly, what this does is that, let's say you update your client welcome kit and you send it out to your database. What it does is it gives them a tool so that when they have a conversation with somebody who says, I've been thinking of moving, now they have something cool to give them. It's like, you got to check out, Gary gave me a welcome kit. He said I could send it to you. It's going to answer all the questions that you have about selling your home, right? Like that's
then they look like a rock star, which everybody likes to look like a rock star to their friends and family.
So these tools of most of us don't capitalize on the potential referrals that we can get. We oftentimes only think of our database as picking up past business, not realizing, or repeat business, I should say. But a lot of people don't realize that even if you haven't worked with somebody, anybody that you personally know has more trust with you than somebody that they don't know. That's just a fact, right? Yep. Like if somebody knows you, like personally somehow knows you, it's not like you gotta be best friends. Let's say it's the person that you see, at the gym once a week, right? Or whatever the case may be. You're going to have more trust for that person than somebody that walks in the door you've never seen before. So here's the thing. When we oftentimes don't realize that even just capitalizing on the people who know us, they're sources of referrals, not just business or repeat business, but they're actually sources of referrals when they're equipped to do so.
Absolutely.
All right. So
let's equip them.
Let's equip them. You guys are probably wondering, well, what the heck is in this client welcome kit? Well, you should have one, and you should have one today, is what I'm going to tell you right now. The first things first is you need to have just some basic information about you. You don't want to bore them about you, so make it interesting. So we got...
Yeah, don't give them your resume.
Yeah, don't give me a resume. That's not what's in it for them. All we're doing here is we're just building rapport.
Yep.
Okay, we're building rapport because we're going to build trust through what's in the rest of this, okay? We provide right off the bat, here's some home buying resources, and for us, it's just links to videos to educate them on different aspects of buying a home. We also talk about some of the advantages in working with us to buy a home. So we provided that resource first in terms of information, and then there's advantages in working with us. We make what we refer as direct offers of help. So this is packaging, right? This is packaging something that you would do. If a buyer called you and said, hey, can we go take a look at a house? What would you say? I'd
say, you know what? I would be happy to schedule a private tour for you.
And how's that different? Well, here's the thing. A private tour and someone contacting you, it's just different language. So what we're doing is we're packaging up our services. And in this case, it's my Home Buyer Direct Access program. You're going to send them updates. You're going to give them private tours. You're going to give them a buyer hotline, i.e. your cell phone, right? Would you give them your cell phone number? Of course. Now that's your hotline. You'll consult them. There's no obligation. So this is the Home Buyer Direct Access program. And it's really important that you're always making offers of help. Then we shift gears and we talk about the advantages of selling a home with us. The reason why it's organized as buyers first is because even if you're a seller, you're oftentimes thinking about where you're moving to, not where you're moving from. So second here, we talk about the advantages of selling with us. We have some home selling resources. Again, these are videos where we educate them. You don't have to do videos. They could be blog posts. They could be links to resources from the National Association of Realtors where it educates people. Make also offers of help. So in this, we call this Thinking of Selling Your Home. Get my expert home value analysis, where they'll get comprehensive pricing assessment of their home's potential value in the market, tips and recommendations on how you can increase your home's resale value, market updates on housing inventory changes, and access to my priority help hotline. Boy, this sounds an awful lot like a listing presentation.
We just name it differently.
We just call it something a little bit different so that when it's in this client welcome kit, it's something for them or somebody that they refer as opposed to something for us.
Yep.
We also have in here letting them know that we send out monthly reports.
We talked about this earlier. This is a tool of referral and also a context for conversation.
Remember the information that I said? We called it a newsletter. Well, who wants a newsletter? Who wants a report? Well, consumer wants a report. So we call this a report in our client welcome kit. And why is this important? Well, Gary said earlier that it's important to set the expectations and fulfill them. So now when they get the newsletter, they don't see it as like, oh, they're just sending me junk. It's like, oh, no, this is the report they said they were going to send.
Which, by the way, you want to build even more trust, send it on the same day every single month.
And then we also talk about making our professional network available. Remember we were talking about earlier when you were contacting people and how if you need a referral to a mortgage broker, that becomes also an offer.
So I went on a listing appointment, $2 million house, and I said, okay, these are all the things that we need to do to improve your home. And they're like, you have anybody who can work with us? Man, my team and I have been over there at the house, meeting with the painters, introducing them to the contractors, and doing this for them. They're blown away.
Well, that's how you earn future business as well as their referrals. So all of this goes into the client welcome kit. Make sure they can contact you as well. Put a contact me.
Yep.
All of that goes into the client welcome kit. And again, this not only fast tracks that prospect or that lead into having, they're like, oh, this is what it's like to work with you. Talk about building trust with a prospect before you even talk to them, right? So I'm sure we're getting a lot of questions about, hey, I want that template.
Somebody actually just said, Lou said, how do we get the questions for the initial consultation and how do I get that listing presentation
So if you want the templates from today's training, that's Gary's listing presentation template as well as that client welcome kit template. You can join our club and get these templates today for only $67. All right, so join our club, get the templates for $67. Our club includes access to our ongoing training library so that you can get more educated on the sales process, going on listing appointments, working with buyers, so much more. There's lots of downloadable tools, templates, and resources. For example, you need a property marketing plan, bang, there's property marketing plans in there so that you can start making better quality promises. In addition to that, there's templates, right? So the Evernote template that Gary uses for his initial consultation.
Heck, we're going to give you every single template that I have in Evernote.
That is all in there. Now, here's a big thing that you guys are definitely going to want to have. Every month, you're going to get an MVP. You're going to get a digital marketing campaign from us every single month that you can use as part of your monthly value program to send to your database, right?
Yeah, you don't have to go create it anymore. We're going to give it to you.
So every month you'll get a blog post. You're going to get a newsletter in PDF format or a report. We also refer to this as a report to be able to send out. You'll get an email to attach to that you can attach the report to send out to your database. There's Facebook posts, there's Instagram posts, there's Pinterest posts. There's even a phone script that we give you guys so that you can pick up the phone and talk about the piece. So no one should ever have the excuse that I don't know what to say anymore, because we're giving you not only the context for the conversation through this MVP program to send out, but also the words to say.
The conversation itself.
So in addition to that, you're going to get a marketing website. So that blog post will post to your marketing website. You can also post listings and so on and so forth there. Here's the thing. If you already have a website, that's okay. This is just one additional potential way for people to find you online. And there's no harm in making it easy for people to find you online. You also get access to Gary, myself, and our entire team on live training sessions or group coaching sessions. We do that twice a month. If you can't make it live, don't worry. We record them and put them into the training library. And there's even an email marketing suite so that you can take the same information that you're sending out and automatically email that out to your database. There's no contract, there's no commitment. You can easily cancel online from the club, hassle-free, no questions asked. There's no contract or commitment. In fact, you'll be able to keep those templates when you download them. Now, when you sign up today, not only will you get that listing presentation template and client welcome kit template, you will also get a 30-day sales action plan.
Yeah, if you are stuck and you don't know what to do every single day, or you're just kind of spinning your wheels, we give you a 30-day action plan that says, okay, this is what you do today.
Exactly what you do. And it's going to help you implement some of the tools and resources that you've provided. But the key thing in here is, how do I fast track my way to selling more, particularly at this time of year? We all know that the seasonal slowdown is, well, it's right upon us. And so how do we prevent that from happening, or how do we at least lessen the effects? It's by getting very aggressive and assertive so that we're that professional, not that order taker. And this sales action plan is going to help you do the professional activities as opposed to waiting for the business. So when you sign up today, you will get the listing presentation template, the scripts, you get the client welcome kit template, and as well as that 30-day sales action plan. You get that when you join the club. And I wanted to share a report from one of our customers that you guys will probably want to hear. This is from Teresa. She says, I want to say a huge thank you to the Paperless Agent team. Thank you, Gary, Jordan, Chris, and the whole team behind the scenes. We actually tripled our income in 2017. Let me say that again. They tripled their income in 2017 from joining the Paperless Agent. We sold over $9 million, all because we followed the Paperless Agent plan. We started doing open houses, followed the sales action plan, and reignited our client contacts. We had been with another office for 13 years, never had this level of marketing material. The saying goes, plan your work your plan. Paperless Agent gives you the plan. You just need to work it. And thank you to everybody on the private Facebook group who shares so generously. And with that, Gary, I'm going to turn it back over. I know we've got Q&A. I know we've got an offer out there. Here's what I'd like for you guys to do, is to sign up right now so you can access these bonus gifts when you join the club. Download it. All right, do that right now before this offer expires. And we're going to get to Q&A while you guys are doing that.
So by the way, for everybody who's signing up and joining us in our club, the button over there, it's a blue button. It says Join Club Now. Just click on that. It'll take you to the page. You don't need a promo code. That's why we created that hyperlink for you. And then what's going to happen is, as soon as you sign up, bam, you're going to get an email with, it's kind of like a welcome email, and it is going to give you your login information so that you can create, so you can log in and go ahead and get started. If you do not see that in your email inbox, it's probably hidden in your spam folder, or if you're using Gmail, it very well may be in your promotions tab. So we want to make sure that you get that. So then you can log in. Like we said, I'm going to answer a few questions that I see already. Number one, the listing presentation and the client welcome kit, those are templates. You can modify those, brand them yourself, change whatever you want to on there. And it doesn't matter if you're using a Microsoft or an Apple device.
They're
doesn't
in
matter.
Keynote and PowerPoint, right? It's not like they're documents that you can modify and make your own. It's supposed to be done for you, make this easy to implement, the stuff that we've just been talking about.
Absolutely. So go do that right now, because we want you to get that 30-day sales action plan. That is an action plan that we created around what are the most effective time-saving actions that you can take every single day to really like ramp your business quickly.
Well, the sales action plan is derived from the process that Gary has used in his career to coach and develop agents that have come onto our firm, agents that he's worked with, because what he found is it took him 20-some, you said it took you 10 years really to become a master at it. But once you figured out, well, this is what you need to do, what I had to create the plan for him, because I had to observe what he was telling the agents to do. But it was always the exact same thing. It was like, this is what you're going to do, followed by this step, followed by this step. And it comes out to about, I say it's 30 days. It probably takes 45 to 60 days, because you're going to take weekends off, right? But and maybe some days will take, you'll have to do more than others. But what I found is that your process for coaching an agent, it's always the same thing. It's always like this: you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Oh, you skip that step. Let's go back and do that again.
And you know what the outcome is?
It's
magic. The agents are like, this magically happened. I'm like, no, it's scientific. And this is the process.
Anything that we don't understand tends to look like magic. It's like in the olden days when they're like, well, how did they do that? Well, it's science. No, it's magic. I always think that about how sales works, because, we'll send some stuff. We sent out this email about 3 weeks ago now, and it generated for us, what was it, $80,000 in commissions or something like that. And I thought it was magic. I was like, we sent this email out, and then you contacted these people, and all of a sudden we got 2 listings out of it, and it's the magic. He was like, no, it's not magic, Chris. It's how sales works.
This is it, buddy. All right, so go sign up right now and keep your questions coming. First question we have is from Terry. Terry says, is this month to month, or is there a contract period? There is no contract, no commitment. Here's what we did. We designed our coaching program around a program that we would want to be members of, and we treat you the way that we would want to be treated. So there's no commitment, no contract. Heck, if you get in there,
month to month, you get in there. Heck, you could get in there, you get your first month, and after that, you're like, I'm done. You know, I don't want to see you go, but I will totally understand if you do. And I won't harass you. I won't hassle you. No one's gonna.
You can cancel online.
It's online. You can actually just cancel online. There's a self-serve checkout process there. Just unsubscribe. So
So absolutely. Who asked that question? I wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Terry, for asking that question. Next question. Kevin Stewart says, what's the balance? I love this question because this ties back to the context for conversation. What's the balance between leaving voicemails and just hanging up? And which voicemails are most effective? Kevin, thank you for asking that, because this ties back to the context for conversation. I never hang up the phone.
No.
Because it just looks weird.
Well, even a voicemail has value.
Absolutely.
Right? Voicemail has relational value.
And by the way, our scripts that we give you, you have a voicemail script. It's like if it goes to voicemail, Kevin, you're going to get a script and you're going to know exactly what to say in order to elicit responses.
You know, never underestimate the power of somebody hearing your voice through that voicemail process or live on telephone, because it's a marketing principle, what we call modality. Right? I don't know if you guys have heard of this concept of modality, but in marketing, modality is the different ways to communicate the same thing. Okay. Now, the phenomenon that exists with modality is that I might see your email, maybe see your website, maybe get a direct mail piece from you.
Yeah.
The thing that prompts me to act might be the voicemail. Here's the other thing. I might get your voicemail, but the thing that prompts me to act is email. Modality is on its situation and person specific.
Yep.
Right. And so
does modality, does that tie into the omnipresent marketing?
It totally ties in the omnipresent marketing. So here's the thing. Why is modality so important? Well, different levels of modality has different levels in terms of the impact, right? So here's what I would say. A video is going to have more impact than an email, right? Somebody watching a video of you communicating the same thing that would be in an email is going to have a more powerful impact. Now, knowing that you picked up the phone and called them is going to have an even greater impact than a video would, because they know that not only did you just like say the words, you took the time.
You took the time. It's
key.
And people find value in time. That's the whole thing.
And so different modalities, you don't know which one people are necessarily going to respond to, but they're weighted differently, if that makes sense, right? So when you're implementing that omnipresent marketing, know that those modalities have different weights. You know, seeing your post on Facebook is not going to have the same impact as listening to a voicemail.
Exactly. So always leave a voicemail.
And who doesn't leave a message? Either somebody they know, like their parents, their kids, or a telemarketer.
And
everybody else leaves a message.
Yeah. Okay. Next question we have. Let's see. Pamela says, where do we find development plans? So I would suggest going down to your city and to the city offices and going into the development office and asking them, how do I find out about what new developments are being approved?
There's also local news reporting publishers will do it as well. So like in Austin, for example, and some of these
what's that called here?
There's community impact.
Community impact. I bet there's a community impact where you are.
Yeah, I subscribe to the community impact e-newsletter, right? So I don't have to get the printed copy. Actually, I think they send it in the mail too. But anyway, there's community impact in Austin. You know, and there's 2 others. There's one called Cranes, CRANES. And then there's another one, the Business Journal. You know, most cities have a Austin Business Journal. That's a franchise thing or something like that. So the Business Journal, I would actually subscribe to all those things and you'll get the updates. And so I just always pay attention to the updates. Oh, this development popping up over here. This development popping up over here. The other thing you can do is use a Google alert for city planning, city council, zoning and planning meetings, whatever the language for your local government agency is in which they make those decisions, is put a Google alert there. And every time something gets published online that's coming from that zoning, like in Austin, it's the ZAP, the Zoning and Planning or something committee. And whenever they get together, they publish meeting notes. And so Google lets me know, oh, they just published these meeting notes.
There you go. All right, next question from Sharon. Sharon says, I'm in. Can you show me what is included in the program? And why don't you take them to our membership site?
All right.
So while Chris shows you what you're getting, like how to log into the membership site, and then all of the topics we train on. If you are interested in joining the Paperless Agent Coaching Program, this is the Chris and Gary's Club. Go click on that hyperlink right now and make sure that you take advantage, and you're getting all of the bonuses that we're giving away. Remember, it's only $67 a month, and you can cancel at any time. So just do it.
Couple of things. So remember, the bonus gifts you're getting is Gary's listing presentation, the client welcome kit templates, and the 30-day sales action plan. But I wanted to spend some time sharing with you what's in the club. The club is going to give you access to the monthly digital marketing campaigns, which you'll see here. These monthly digital marketing campaigns, that is where you'll get a new campaign every single month for you to implement, right? So you just click on that course card, go in there, download it. I mentioned that you guys get a marketing website. What you're going to want to do is I'll show you the example. What mine looks like. You'll get one of these. You want to set this up. You'll set this up here where it says Agent ID site. But that Agent ID site is going to set this up for you. Literally takes about 10 minutes at most if you have a photo and a brief bio that you can use. We'll post blogs for you every single month. You don't even have to worry about it. We'll post blogs for you every single month that are real estate relevant, make sense coming from you, professionally written, right? So it's tied to the theme of the campaign. And so that website is included. You can also post listings and then landing pages as well. And we ended up creating this because what we found was that a lot of our clients just didn't have an effective website to market listings for. So that's why we ended up creating this.
Yep.
So that's in there as well. There's an email marketing suite here where you can access through the marketing suite. But I want to go into the club resources because this is where the training library is.
Yeah, and as you do that, Chris, somebody said, Madeline says, our previous webinars included in the membership. Absolutely. All of our previous coaching sessions are in there.
So you come in here under the resource library and there's coaching club sessions. This is where we always feature like a topic or issue and organize around it. So I'll show some recent ones. We had this, we had a coaching session on how to improve your marketing effectiveness, client engagement tools, marketing mindsets. I also showed people recently how to create and promote a YouTube channel. But there's literally hundreds and hundreds of topics. There's Instagram strategies for real estate professionals, Facebook ads workshops, online identity processes, Facebook ad demos, real estate branding, blogging, brand. I mean, there's just so, I mean, there's
basically, here's the thing. If we do it or have done it and it was successful, we're sharing it with you. You get everything from lead generation to lead conversion to marketing to sales scripts and dialogues. You got it.
How to get your website found on Google, how to do a just listed campaign on Google.
You've been doing a lot of video training lately.
A lot of video training because video is a very effective way to build trust, to Gary's point. So that's the resource library. And then there's also a gazillion different tools here. I don't even think I can, there's like lots of categories that you can start searching for, but
I'll go to the Evernote templates.
We're really big into checklists and templates. So if it's a checklist or a template, and we create tons of them for our clients, it's in here. You know, there's, let me just pull one example up. So there's a broad range too in terms of ability here. But you know, here's a simple one: how to create your Facebook business page. So you can, let's say you don't have a Facebook business page and you want a Facebook business page. What we did is we put together a little checklist for you, so you can come in here and then follow along in this little guide that we created so that a person can create their Facebook business page. There's so many of these. I mean, I think there's close to 1,000 of them in here. I mean, there's just so many. And you can see how many people have downloaded the different resources. This one, this 10-step bio writing checklist. So that's probably a good one when you're going to go
That's a
set
good
up your
one
website.
to set up the website. Yep.
You know, and we've had 530 people download that resource. So anyway, that's everything that's included with the club. In addition to that, you know, one of our clients, Mary Anglin, reported to me that one of her favorite features is just the whole community that the Paperless agent has of members, because
we have a private Facebook page just specifically for our coaching club members. And in there, you're going to see, it's like a brain trust. It's where people are sharing their own best practices. And not only that, they're referring business back and forth. It's incredible. I recently referred a luxury client to somebody in Arizona through this.
Here's another one from 2 hours ago. Does anyone have any intel on how to find corporate housing in Irving, Texas? I have a client who will be working there from Monday through Friday, then commuting home on Friday afternoon. Here, oh, there's Mary Anglin. Share. Oh, Mary, that video looks awesome.
Well done, Mary.
I love the lighting. She's doing it. I love it when I see our clients taking the stuff that we're sharing.
And you see the lavalier mug
I
too?
see the lavalier mic.
Bravo.
Nice job, Mary. Awesome. I'm so proud. Oh, man. So excited. Lots and lots of awesome things in here. Referrals, tips. You know, what's amazing to me is just when you have a community of thousands of folks who are like literally moving in the same direction, has the same goals and objectives, and generous with their time. You know, it's not, you go in here and you're going to find people who are just sharing wisdom and sharing what works. And I go in here oftentimes, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that. Right. Just because, you know, Gary and I, you know, we have, I would say we have a very fun real estate practice, but there's people out there who just know so much because maybe they've been selling, you know, Gary's been selling 21 years. There's people who are on this webinar who've been selling 30 years, right? So
38. 38.
So we got stuff that we can continue to learn, and we can learn it from our community here, and so can you.
Yeah. So like we said, go click on that link. It says join club now. Make sure that you take advantage of this special offer. It's only $67 a month. And let's get to the next question. Terry said, can the blog posts and newsletters, etc., be used on my website?
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll get copies of it in a Word document that you can copy and paste into your website, as well as the images and stuff as well. So yes, it's all in there.
Next question. Let's see. Glenn says, Gary, how do you automate this process? That question came in when we were talking about the Move Up program.
The Move Up program.
So here's the thing, is there's not a way to automate that process. But here's what I can tell you is every time you add somebody to your database, after you go through your database and you input all of their anniversary dates, then what happens is anytime you add somebody new, you go research and you add their anniversary dates. So then all of a sudden, it's a much easier process.
The cost of automation is not worth the developing. Here's what you're going to want to do. Get some tools that make it easier for you to implement this. Some tools and templates. So we're giving you the templates. In fact, we did a whole coaching session on the Move Up Buyer program.
Yep.
So you want to go to the coaching session where we did that. But here's what you're going to want to do. One of the big things is to make like where the time comes from is, you know, getting the information on how long they've been in the home and producing the CMA, right? So there's a couple of tools out there. I mean, you can use the MLS. That's probably a little bit more time consuming. I heard a number of our clients using RPR to do the CMA.
RPR is a great one.
That was free, right?
It is free. Yeah, RPR is owned by NAR.
Right, so you can use RPR to create the CMA. We also have a tool. Are we still using that one? No, not using that one. All right, so we're going to be using the MLS. You could use the RPR, but here's the thing: I know this is a mindset issue. Is that a lot of times we want things easily, like, oh, how do I automate that? And how can I just have that? The problem is, it's the difference between something that's made on a conveyor belt versus something that's made by hand.
Yep.
Right now, the thing that's made by hand is typically going to be higher quality, right? Like, for example, there's watches out there. You can buy a watch that's just manufactured out of a plant, or you can buy one that's handmade. Each piece is made by hand, right? Which one do you think costs more? Which one do you think provides the more valuable result, right? So the same thing with a marketing process is don't underestimate the value of personalization. Personalization is not just putting their name, like, hi, Gary, at the top of an email. Personalization is taking the time to put together a resource and putting in that, packaging it up, and sending it to them.
It's going to be so much more valuable.
Right. So it's going to receive with a higher level of value than, I mean, here's the risk of automation. It's like a really crappy CMA, right? Or the home anniversary date's wrong. Like that's the risk of automation. And it's not like you're going to have hundreds of these. You should in a month you have what, maybe a dozen?
Maybe a dozen. It doesn't take any time at all. All right, next question. I hope I don't butcher your name. I apologize. Mubashar Ahmed or Ahmad. I apologize. Can you help realtors in Canada? Absolutely. We have hundreds of members in Canada. In fact, about 12% of our membership in the Chris and Gary Coaching Club is in Canada. So absolutely. Okay, next question. Elizabeth Ortiz says, I don't have a database.
You do.
You do. It's just not organized.
Do you have one of these?
So we actually have a training session in our program talking all about creating and maintaining an effective database. In fact, I'm gonna go on the line here and say by the end of the year, I'm gonna do another special session for everybody in our club.
Well, actually, a little heads up for those of you who are joining right now. Stay tuned. We're going to be kicking off what we call a production plan in the coming weeks, and it's exclusive for members. It's only available to members, but we're going to be running basically a 30-day program to help you guys get more sales. And one of the it's basically, you guys are familiar with a production plan, right? So it's just our version of a production plan, and we're going to give you 30 days of activities. We're going to show you how to implement Gary's home anniversary campaign, which we didn't talk about today, but we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to do the Move Up program. And by the way, we're going to be doing this in our own real estate business.
Which is why I'm spending so much time right now.
Right. In our database. And then you're going to have weekly check-ins where we're going to be able to hold each other accountable. So it's that's coming up. And I forget what the question is that made me think of that, but
I have no idea. We got a lot of questions. Okay, next question. Jessica Sylvester says, could you repost slide 11? Okay, so yeah, we're happy to do that as I get to the next question. Let's see, I answered that one already. Mila says, is that, yeah, okay. Mila says, is the Move Up program questionable in Canada? So here's what I would say, I think in real estate, we get so stuck on the minutia and the details of language.
Yeah, don't find reasons not to do it. Find reasons how to do it.
And how to do it. So if for some reason your broker or your state does not allow you to apply a credit towards a client's closing costs at closing,
do something else.
Can you adjust your fee? Yeah. We can adjust our fee.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a credit, right? I mean, it could be, I don't know, this is where,
this is where what you can, this is what I do. And I know we can do this in Texas. I don't know if you can do this where you are, but what we do is we just tell the title company, hey, take this amount of money from my commission and apply it towards their closing costs.
You want to get creative there, work with your broker, work with the folks who know how you can make this happen. By the way, it doesn't even have to be a monetary thing. I mean, it could be something else entirely. But what I would challenge you in especially in doing like the Move Up program is it's very easy to find excuses. We call them reasons why not to do something. But more importantly is everything that's worth doing is probably anything that's going to produce a result, a really high quality result, is going to have some kinks to work out, right? You're going to have to say, oh, I got to do this and I got to do this and I got to say this and this is how all this stuff is going to work. Here's the thing. If it were easy, everybody would be successful in real estate. I mean, that's just the fact is, I do a lot of training for myself. Like I learn a lot of stuff.
We were just talking about
I research a lot of stuff. And, unfortunately, I really, here's the thing that frustrates me, and I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that frustrates me is there's a lot of information out there, very little knowledge.
Yes.
There's a lot of surface level, here's how you do it, but none of the tactics to be able to give me an insight on how to do things. So what I always get frustrated because here, like we're all trying to implement these different strategies, do these different things, and there's a lot of either bad advice or just not enough detail. And that's one of the things that we strive for is we try to spell everything out. Here's the email that goes out. Here's the report that goes out. Heck, here's the templates. Use these to be able to do it. So we're trying to reduce as much friction to go to the implementation. Now, here's the thing. we're going to remove as much friction as we can, but we can't remove the one that's in here, right? We can't remove the one that's here. So take that little mindset shift and say, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to get this done. I'm going to figure out this done. Everything else has been done for me. I'm going to get this done. And you will get better results.
Amen. Boy, that was a lot of value right there.
Sorry. Sometimes I go away.
That was awesome.
But, you know, here's the thing is I know we're trying to implement the same stuff. We're trying to be successful in our own real estate business. I get it. I know. I mean, I live the ups and downs with you when we succeed and fail in our own things. And guess what? We're not going to share the stuff that doesn't work other than to tell you not to do it. Right?
Hey, we did this. Don't do it.
You know?
It didn't work. Okay. Next question. Jimmy said, hey, I would love to join. What do I get? You want to pull up that slide that shows that, and then we'll go to another question. But Jimmy, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left in our presentation today. So don't hesitate. Go do it right now. Go click on that link.
Yeah, sign up. There's a lot of great tools. There's a lot of great resources. You're getting these bonus gifts. All these are downloadable, so we can't take them back from you. If you decide you want to cancel, you can keep these 3 bonuses once they're downloaded to your computer. But definitely sign up now. Sign up so you can get access to them. And sign up now so you can, I mean, I noticed, 40% of you are relatively new, brand new agents. So this is what here's the thing, no matter how awesome you are, the expectation to have, it's going to take 30, 60, maybe 90 days because real estate's a 90-day cycle business, you know? So everything you do today and tomorrow, the expectation to have is it's 90 days from now when I get to see the result. Every now and then, like, it happens a lot faster, and that's great. But don't stop. You still got to consistently do this stuff.
Yep.
So get it going.
All right. Next question. Dowd says, how would you regularly contact your database if you have 5,000 plus people in there? That is a good problem to have. Here's what I would say. Number 1, go to that 30-day action plan summary that we have, because you're going to, number 1, you're going to want to send out that e-newsletter or the MVP every month. You're going to want to create a Facebook ad to that list, and as often as you can, pick up the phone and call them.
Well, here's what I'm going to suggest. You have 5,000 people in there, but you don't have 5,000 A clients, and you don't have 5,000 past clients or 5,000 referring clients. You got 5,000 people. Now, what I would do, and you know, we only have 2,000 some, but we do this regularly because Gary would be like, let's just send this out and try and help me sort and pare down the database a little bit. It's okay to prune because pruning is going to help it grow. But one of the things that you can do is send out the monthly stuff, but go back and track like who's opening, who's not opening, and start assigning A, B, C. Yeah. Right? You want this, and this is. By
the way, this is all in our training.
That's that's in that 30-day sales action plan is to sort and qualify your database. Yep. But when it's that big, you have a little bit of work to do. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't just get started. You should just get started. Send this stuff out. Start implementing these things that we're sharing with you. But make it a goal over this year. I mean, it's like we're wanting to do the same thing, but it's not like we have to get it done before we do stuff. No, we're sending this information out, and we're using that then to say, well, look at all these people who responded to that. We're going to categorize them as B people. Oh, this person actually replied to the email and they became a client. That makes them an A or an A+ client, right? So, you'll want to use that sort of sorting mechanism to be able to pare that down so that you can get that 5,000 list to a manageable list. And by the way, you don't want to delete people. You want people to self-select themselves out of that communication. And that's where implementing an MVP program is going to help do that.
Amen. All right, next question. Damien said, would you suggest sending a quick text or message on social media rather than calling? You know what? If that's all you can do and that's all you're going to commit to do, and you're like, I don't care what the context for conversation is. I have such phone anxiety that it puts me into a panic when I pick up the phone. Do whatever you got to do. But man,
I would say do it all.
Yeah, the effectiveness.
I would say do it all. I mean, yeah, you can send a message, but here's the thing. Let's say it's somebody that knows you. Let's say it's somebody that you know. Here's a great example right now. I could send my wife a text message and she'll receive that information. And it's a text message. She got it. I could take a photo of same thing. I could take a photo and still send it via text, and it's going to have a different impression, right? Now, here's the thing. Same thing. You could message that person and they'll probably respond to you back. And hopefully you're friends with them on social media, so you can just say, hey, did you get that information? But here's where you're going to miss out. This is what you're going to miss. And one of the things that I'm going to share, I want Gary to relay a story, because this should really make it show you why it's important to have conversations, is that you are going to miss the tells that they have to indicate that they're thinking of moving, maybe not in 90 days, but in 6 months, right? They might say they're not going to tell you this via text, but in conversation, they might say, yeah, I was on Zillow. Really? You thinking of moving?
Yeah.
Right. So here's the thing. Unfortunately, the digital communication, and I'm all about the digital, right? I'm all about the tech and all about the digital, but here's what I know is that because so much of communication is lost when we go digital versus when we're communicating in person, is we just don't ask the right questions. Now, Gary, you were at an open house. This was a while ago now.
So I was at an open house a long time ago, and well, a couple years ago.
It was like 3 years ago.
And I had an agent, one of my agents, helping me there because there's a big house. And so
it was like 5,000 square feet or something.
Yeah, 6,000 feet. It was huge. And so this one couple comes in, and I said, oh, would you go chat with them and see how we can help? She goes over, and I observed. She chatted for a second. She came back, got a bottle of water, took it back to them, gave it to them, and then came back. And I said, what just happened? And she goes, well, you were talking about offering help to them. So it's a hot day. So I walked up and I said, hi, would you guys like a bottle of water? They said, yes. So I gave them one.
Okay. That's one level of service.
That's one level of service.
So what did you do?
I went up and I said, hi, I'm the listing agent here. And, I'm always curious where people are coming from. Do you mind if I ask, how did you hear about the open house?
They said the postcard, right?
They said the postcard. I said, great. You must live in the neighborhood. So are you thinking of moving to a different house? And they said, oh, no. We actually have friends who live in Houston who want to move into this neighborhood. So we told them we'd come take a look at this house. And I was like, oh, I said, great. Hey, you know what? By the way, I have loads of videos and photos and information on this home. And instead of just, you mailing them a flyer, I can email that to you. What's the best email address to send that to? He gave me his email address. We stayed in touch. So
that's how, you see, you miss out on that when all you're doing is going digital. And it's not to say you can always do face-to-face, but I mean, gosh, if you can get someone to go out to coffee with you, I mean, can you afford to go to coffee from time to time with somebody who's in your network?
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So I think that, can you go with coffee with 5,000 people? No, that would take years and years to do, but that's why you're pairing it. But don't shy away from those more intimate communications of which, like, a phone, voicemail. One of these days, what I need to do is I need to create the chart of influence that the different modalities of these communications have, with an in-person meeting, the highest level of impact, to the phone conversation, to the voicemail, to the so on messaging, and all the way so on.
That would be very good. That way you would understand where do you need to start.
But it is so important. People, I'm not going to belabor the point anymore.
Well, it's a place to start. And speaking of places to start, the way you need to start right now is go join our club, join us, because we have a coaching session that we're going to be delivering to our coaching clients only next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
When you join today, you're going to get all of this stuff, and you get to join us on our coaching session next Wednesday. So with that, I would like to say thank you to everybody who joined our coaching program. Chris, thank you for being here. This was awesome.
Thank you for sharing everything that you know with us, Gary. I mean, you are a sales master.
And we look forward to seeing all of you in the coaching program. Don't delay. Go click on that link and join us now.
All right. We'll see you online. We'll see you in the club.
Bye.